Right, a bit of an addition to my previous video about racial discrimination in Japan towards foreigners and towards Okinawans. I got some specific questions about how people treat how mainland Japanese people treat Okinawans and vice versa. Now, I did say Okinawans look different. Their face kind of looks different than Japanese people. You just get a hang of it after being to Okinawa and being to mainland Japan, and even us foreigners can distinguish pretty easily. Now, so the cool people in mainland Japan think that Okinawans are these more relaxed, kind of friendly, jovial, more laid-back people. They're also less punctual, which is definitely a minus, but generally they think that they're just these cool people and friendly and lovable. So that's the friendly mainland perspective. The unfriendly mainland perspective is that Okinawans are these unclean mixed race and second-class citizens who are not really Japanese. Now, Okinawan people are, of course, kind of a mixed heritage because the 300 years of isolation that applied to mainland Japan didn't apply to Okinawa. Okinawa was a trading post, a kind of a backdoor if you wanted to get some foreign goods during those 300 years of isolation. And even before the 300 years, Okinawa was a trading kingdom. The golden age of Okinawa was when they just traded stuff. And of course, the two biggest trading partners were Japan and China, so people were going back and forth all the time. And which resulted in, of course, more, well, whatever. I don't know how to put that, but yeah. So they don't look quite Japanese to Japanese people. So those who want to be racist, they're just being racist and say that Okinawans are blah 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 blah. So so that's the mainland Japanese perspective. Again, most people on the mainland are cool people, but there are these racist idiots who are not cool. Okay, and there are people like that in every country. It is not typical. I don't know how many of them are there, but there are definitely some of them. And also, I want to add that people who go to Okinawa from the mainland for holidays, because it's a great holiday destination, because the beaches are great, the sunshine is awesome, it's warm, and people are friendly, and of course people speak Japanese, so it's a very convenient place for Japanese people to go. They don't have to worry about speaking another language, which is a definite plus, because most of them don't speak another language. Now, the Okinawan perspective on mainland people. Most Okinawans, they're like, because Okinawa is kind of like a less developed place. There's not much industry there, and the wages are lower. Prices are lower too, but wages are even lower. So it's not as prosperous as the mainland. So most Okinawans think of the mainland as, wow, the wages there, I want to go work there, I want to go live there, and many of them do. But they like it, they have a positive image of the mainland, and of course the schooling system, the schools are all the same, and the inside of Okinawan people, they're all Japanese, it's all the same. They're all the same on the inside, so they don't, most of them don't have any problem with the mainland. Now, the uncle people, on the other hand, they hold grudges about how they've been treated or how their ancestors have been treated during the Second World War, where pretty much everything was destroyed, 2/3 or even 3/4, I don't know. The vast majority of the civilian population was killed because they just used them as a buffer to delay the American advancement from island to island, the island hopping that they were doing there. And casualties were tremendous, and also everything was destroyed. All the houses, property, historic sites, even the trees, there was no vegetation left. If you look at pictures of Okinawa from 1945, it's flat. There's nothing, no vegetation left, no building left, nothing. Okay, so yeah, you wouldn't particularly like the people who made those decisions that resulted in that situation, obviously. Now, if you go to Okinawa, it still strikes you very hard that none of the buildings, nothing there is older than 1945, because everything was destroyed. Even the historic sites are just reconstructions that were put back together in the 50s and the 60s based on original drawings. So none of it is what it seems, and there's definitely nothing there that's older than 1945. So yeah, you can imagine that will create resentment, and some of the resentment lives on with people who were born way after 1945. And also from 1945 to 1973, the island was under American control, so it wasn't part of Japan. It was I don't know how the school system worked, but they drove on the left side, right side, not on the side they drive now, but on the other side where American people drive. And so yeah, and even now the American presence is more in your face than in the rest of Japan, because there's like countless army bases. There's one of them in Ginawan. I think it was Ginawan, that's in the like smack in the middle of the city, and it's just ridiculous. Like all the noise and all the commotion and all the problems it causes. So yeah, that creates resentment, and still they're being treated like in present day Japanese politics, it's kind of like this annoying bit of Japan that many politicians don't really want to deal with, but at least that was my impression while I was living there. I don't know how factually correct is that, but there is that feeling in Okinawan people, and that is the feeling I got as well. There's the story of the 2,000 yen banknote, which they created specifically so they have some kind of money that has Okinawan imagery on it. It has Shuri Castle on the back, and some that's the one of the historic sites in Okinawa, which again was rebuilt in the 60s or the 50s. Anyway. So yeah, the 2,000 yen banknote, they issued it, and then people realized that it doesn't work in the vending machines. Now, vending machines are important, and when people realized that they can't use it in vending machines, they just kind of stopped using it. So, because it's not worth the hassle of having a banknote that you can't use everywhere. So yeah, that's kind of like how how sometimes people, and especially politicians, think of Okinawa as a kind of an annoyance, kind of a backwater that we don't really want to deal with. And of course, Okinawan people perceive that as such. They are very sensitive to that, and yeah. Also, industrial development, there's very, very little industry in Okinawa. Now, all of Japan is basically one huge big factory. The raw materials coming from abroad and the high quality products are exported to abroad. Now, Okinawa is different. Okinawa, there's the US Army bases, which are a source of income and a source of employment. There's agriculture and there's tourism, and that's about it. There's very, very little industry. So that's a major difference to how it relates to Japan, to the rest of Japan. So yeah, those were the things I wanted to share. If you've been to Okinawa, share your stories, or your stories on Okinawan culture, and I'll see you in my next videos. Also do check out my other videos, check out my other channel as well. I do business stuff and inspirational stuff there. And I'll see you in my next videos. Ta-ta.